But I was working in the garage, and I got a call from you that her employee had come by and said something's going on at Jay and Karen's house because there's cops there and ambulances and somebody got hauled off in a stretcher. So she called me and told me that, and I said, okay, I'll go find out what's going on. I tried calling my dad, and of course I didn't expect any answer. So I called a friend of mine that's a police officer here in town, and I said, are you on duty? What's going on? He goes, I have no idea. I said, because I know my dad won't answer the phone for me. He's not going to tell me what's going on, but I want to know. I said, so I'm heading over there now. And he goes, well, if there's still someone there, they'll tell you what's going on. I said, okay. So as I pulled up, I looked at the officer and I said, is my mom dead? And he looked at me and goes, who are you? And I said, her son? And he goes back, makes a call on the radio, and then looks at me and says, there's a detective at the hospital that wants to speak to you. You need to go up there. And I was like, what is going on? And they wouldn't tell me anything. And then I got to the hospital and got questioned by the detective for what seemed like an eternity. I bet you it was a solid hour or so before I was ever able to see what was going on with my mom. And then I walked back to see her getting worked on. The doctor told me she's not good. I said, is she gonna make it? And he goes, it's bad. She's not in a good place. And that was all they would say.
How did you feel when you learned that your mother had died and that your father had played a role?
I hate to say it, but I kind of expected it. I mean, that was one thing Mom always said. She always said, you know, if I die in a weird way, look around because I have things to implicate your dad. Hidden throughout the house. And I knew that she'd told me about a murder-suicide note that he wrote when I was 14 or 15, maybe 16. I think I was 14 or 15. I know that the things that I had seen him do throughout my life, nothing would surprise me of what he was capable of. And finding out that he did this to Mom, and she knew it. I mean, hell, we got a letter from her that says that she was afraid that was how she would die, she would die by my dad's hands.
Can you explain the series of events after your mother died? There were issues with the estate.
There's still issues with the estate. I had to take my dad to court just to get the ability to put my mom to rest. He wouldn't let me take her and have her cremated like she wanted. He wanted his sister to do it. And I'm like, no, that's my mom. Like, that's mine. That's not hers. And I ended up having to take him to court just so I could get my mom cremated. The stuff with the estate, I was never allowed to be the executor of my mom's estate. I wasn't allowed in the houses. And then when I start finding things, and then I'm told I can't be in the houses anymore.
Specifically, the part of that was the letters.
Yeah.
And the Kansas legislature actually passed a law named after your mother that made it harder for people who murder their spouses to benefit from their estates, including their defense.
It's basically set to where the perpetrator or the alleged perpetrator can't give everything away and spend it or do whatever he wants to in those and before he goes to trial. Because up until then, Slayer law didn't kick in until after there was a conviction. Now at least it splits the estate and they can't do anything with half of it.
Because if the conviction took 2 years and it was sold and spent and then it happened, it's already gone.
Yeah, it's already gone. There's nothing you can do about it. So they just get to do whatever they want up until that point. Well, now, luckily, that hole is plugged.
But you're still fighting some issues with that estate. We don't need to go into specifics for legal reasons, but you're still trying to resolve that.
Very much so. Because Karen's law doesn't necessarily apply to us, I don't think, because it was signed into law after. So the only thing we have going for us is what the judge has already ordered in our cases.
You have 7 children, Casey and Jeremiah. What do you want Karen's grandchildren to know about her as a person? How do you hope she is remembered?
As the fun-loving person she was, the outgoing smile, that hideous cackle that I miss.